Sweet, it's recording. So, welcome everybody. I'm here with Nathan, a client of ours. He went from 275,000 a month to 1.32 million a month in less than 60 days, which is absolutely insane. And hopefully, in this video, we'll walk through some of the wins he had, problem solved, and how do you see such a big increase in a short period of time, some of the different channels he's working on, et cetera, to see the scale. So, first and foremost, Nathan, thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. So let's start with kind of how long ago did you actually get into ecom? And then what was the journey you kind of went through to kind of go from zero to with this brand getting to even the first 275K-ish a month?
Yeah, so I actually started learning like e-commerce drop shipping way back in like 2017, 18, kind of when it was like first hitting YouTube, right? Where you had to buy every course for 1,500 bucks, 3,000 bucks, and then it just kind of took a couple of years to get your skill set built. And then I was really good at drop shipping crappy products for like 4 or 5 years. I would just do that. I'd run up some stores, 300K a month, and then like it would just crash and die. And that's just basically what I've found on your YouTube success was like, that was me exactly, right? Whereas like you're always bringing up those scenarios of, well, I can scale up and then boom, you're done. And then you're scrambling for the next. And then, yeah, kind of flash forward, I started this brand full time just this year because I was kind of sick of that, right? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just kind of where we're at now.
Yeah. I mean, I relate. I completely relate because I actually started around the same time, more or less. And I started, then I quit, and I started, then I quit. I definitely was not good enough to get to 300K a month on these shitty drop shipping products. But I relate because I remember just hating that, like the inconsistency of it. It's up, down, up, down. There's no consistency. You'll never feel secure that way. Um, but you did good though. If you're able to get to that kind of period of time, it was on and off. So I'm curious, were you doing like dropshipping slash ecom full time from then, or is that kind of like a side gig? And then what's that kind of look like now?
Yeah, it was full time. We actually when I started with my wife and we first started, we had like no money. We came I was actually playing hockey in Poland and then we came back to the USA and we had no money. And then we just said, okay, well, we'll make this work. We moved to Oklahoma. We like went crazy low expenses. We had like no money, right? And we just kind of just built the skills and we just kept doing it. And then yeah, basically we just been doing it full time and more so just we kind of split off because we have different skill sets and stuff. But yeah, I've just been full time really since that like 2017, 18
That's
kind of.
awesome. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know what would be considered an OG, but technically you're an OG in the space. You were doing it from 2017.
Yeah, it's been a grind, but like I said, I kind of got in this rut of just like I can sell whatever it is, right? Like you
Yeah.
name it, I'd probably try to sell it, and then I could make some money, and then I'd be back to square one. And then I'm seeing guys like you, right? And I'm like, okay, this guy's like just he's crushing it, like full time, same brand. I'm like, all right, maybe I should try to implement something like that. And just that's kind of why I joined too. Just I wanted to see what you were doing to keep that
Yeah.
consistency. So it was cool.
Yeah, super interesting. And I relate. I'm sure a lot of people watching also relate with that, up, down, and then actually getting some consistency. And it's interesting, which we'll get into, which I'm sure you've seen too. It's like going from kind of like call it like the pump and dumps, even if you do get the scale, it lasts a year and then it drops off or whatever, kind of making the whole consistency and being able to continue it. Like it's a lot of a different skill set, right? Because you kind of go from just marketing to actually learning how to like hire, build systems, etc. Um, and so I'm curious as I go through these questions, once again, what were some of them that actually led to the increase in scale, and then hopefully once again the continued consistency? Because when you were doing the more pump and dumps, like what was the highest revenue you were able to kind of get to, and then how long did that last?
It just depended on the product I was selling. Like, I sold like those portable AC units, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I could do like some 500K months, like depending on the time there, or like Christmas with some certain stores. But then it would just drop back to almost zero, right? Or dealing with like Facebook bans or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and then I just kind of I just found that myself in that rut every time. So I just decided this year I'd go full time and try to get that to work.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting too because it's like you decided to kind of go full time on trying to make that work, and then even though you were able to go to 300K, 500K a month on kind of these more like pump and dumps, if you want to call it that, when you switched kind of the framework or the goal that you were going for, you're then able to get over a million a month, right? Pretty quickly, kind of when you make that mental shift. Because I think you start building more for the long term, which then actually ends up leading to better and longer sales faster.
Yeah, I think also it's just a one of the reasons why I joined, your mastermind in a way. Just I wanted to see what you guys were thinking, how you operate, and it's such a total different perspective of like the YouTube guru with the Lambo versus like, okay, Dante's actually building a real business, and I would say like most people don't realize the amount of cash you need to really make this sustainable year over year, month over month, and that's kind of just like it's an eye opener, right, to most people that you don't get to see that side, and that's one of the reasons why I like loved joining because I wanted to see like, okay, well, these guys are thinking way different, and to get to over 1 million a month, it was just like that was such a like a mental opening, right? Where it's like, okay, well, I'm doing XYZ wrong. Like these guys are crushing it, killing it, and that's where I wanted to like, okay, I can implement this. I'm not afraid to reinvest. I'm not afraid to basically say, you know what, let's cut the distractions. You can make this work. There's just a few tweaks, adjustments, and that's kind of the growth why just so shortly, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. It's yeah, it's super interesting too because it's just that, like it's not even like there's any major changes like you said. It's kind of like you just have to approach it differently. You kind of think long term. And I think a lot of people who, I mean, like you said, when you first get into it and you have no money, you're just trying to make money, you get your first taste of money, you start buying things you enjoy it because you didn't have that previously. But when you realize and if you think longer term that you could actually use that cash for growth, like that's when the real growth comes when you start reinvesting into things. Like even which one do we get into your TikTok shop? It's like it's doing well but you're seeding so little that I'm like, let's reinvest. Like, just seed a shit ton more. Like, it's gonna take off to the moon. It's like that's a perfect example where it's like it's working great instead of just taking it and run. Like, just double down on it and kind of see the skill that comes from it.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, I would say one of the biggest takeaways from joining was just seeing the amount of volume that you guys do in like so many different areas of the business, and I think just having a perspective of someone doing 10, 20, demos 40, whatever million it is a year, you start to see the holes in your business, right? Where like, geez, I would have never thought. I didn't even think to do that. Or the volume is like you think you're doing a lot of volume, but these guys at the top like this they're doing 100x what you're doing, 10x. So just it puts it in perspective of like, okay, well, these it's obvious to me now in some ways like what I was doing wrong. It's just pretty interesting.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, once again, it's paying off clearly. I mean, 1.32 last 30 days, and then even then, like once again, like now, obviously it's seasonal Q4, et cetera, but like doing over 100K a day now is an insane amount of scale. And it's interesting to see even like how split that revenue is between, main channel, TikTok shop, etc. And like how much that all really comes together. And also kind of adds to the consistency too, right? Because if you have 40, 50% of revenue coming from somewhere else that's also growing outside of Facebook, I'm sure that brings a whole nother level of consistency to the business as well.
Yeah, we were excited about that. Like I told you before, just kind of TikTok shop was just kind of like, yeah, we'll just kind of make it work a little. We'll seed some people, but it was never our main goal just because we wanted to focus on Shopify. And then you can just kind of see like the revenue was getting split almost for especially the last couple of weeks, right? Whereas like the TikTok shop was actually outperforming the Shopify with less ad spend too. So it's like yeah, it's pretty crazy how that happened. And it just, as we try to increase more and more, it's like I think that can really the second channel is huge for our brand.
Yeah, 100% completely agree. And so then you touched on a bit on, why you decided to start working with us and some of the biggest wins and learnings that you had. But I'm curious to know when you also were joining outside of just like, I want to see how they think or operate, et cetera. Were there any specific problems that you were facing? What kind of did you learn? What did we solve? What are you still working on? I'm kind of walking me through like if there's any specifics in terms of problems, areas, et cetera, you're trying to learn or improve on, like what were they? And then kind of, what did you get from it?
Yeah, I think one of the problems I've just had just from the drop shipper mindset was like the systems were not in place. And joining, that's kind of what I wanted to also see, like how you guys operate your teams, or your, like I told you before, like the amount of spreadsheets you have just tracking like team members or data or whatever. I was like, I'm like mind blown. It's pretty crazy. And we were definitely missing like the structure, like we didn't have like a week to week structure of like even like video editors or things like that. And that alone, just putting a simple little place of like a routine for our business to follow off like kind of your roadmap, it was huge. It was game changing. And that's even just like a little taste of it, and we're still building that and trying to get that. So I'm excited for next year to push that. And then the one thing that also that I loved in the group was you have your 8-figure kind of media strategy buying slash like just creative strategy, right? It's and that was game changer too, just like seeing how you operate and with just what you put into it to get whatever the output is. It's like that was mind blowing for me as well. So
Yeah, no, awesome. I'm glad. And like to even give more context there, it's like a lot of it, like obviously you were still making ads, et cetera. And to some degree, you're making good ads because you were doing 200, 300K a month. But like the system is one thing because it gives a routine, like you said, which is game changing. But what it really gives, what people don't understand, is it gives you the consistency of like set inputs. And then if you pair that with proper tracking, et cetera, you then actually just have data and things easier to track. So it becomes very simple to see what the issue is that needs to be solved, right? And if you don't have consistent routine or consistent outputs on the system, et cetera, it's tough to actually identify like, what needs to be changed and what needs to be fixed because the variables are changing all the time. Versus now, if you and as you continue to double down into it, right, that system just becomes more and more consistent. It's easy to just test tweaking one part, whether it's the video creative or the intent behind it or your media buying, whatever it may be, and see the effect without every other variable of the business changing, right? Like that clarity of data kind of lets your decision making be easier, which I hope, and what's in the whole point of when we partner with brands and we advise brands on like scaling, et cetera, is putting that stuff in place and showing it so that you guys don't have to continue working with us, right? It's like you understand you have the systems, you have the sheets, you learn how to hire, et cetera, so you can take it and continue going with or without us, right? That's really the end goal.
yeah, it's I mean, there's a lot of sections like I talk about that were just like I was like, how the heck did they come up with this stuff, right? But yeah, just putting a system in place for especially like our brand's not like where we have to do as intensive work of like for the product and seedings and whatever, but just having some structure like that we could take from you guys, it made a huge difference. Huge difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Which remind me, I want to say it on call and give all the sauce away, but remind me afterwards for when this call is done. Um, I have some more resources and systems I could pass on to you with the seeding, how to find better creators to seed on Shop. There's a process we've been following that's been looking pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah, sweet. So before I forget, mention it here. I know it's probably not the time for it, but before I forget, I want to mention it. Um, Sweet. And now, so obviously you're scaling up quickly. Obviously next year, et cetera, the plan's going to be different. You're going to kind of double down. Hopefully, you can make that consistent and continue scaling. Um, with that being said, from that increase of scale, I know it's still pretty recent, but if it has, how has it changed your life personally?
I think it's bought me a lot of time back, to be honest. And also just the worry like you can a lot of these ecom guys like they're young dudes like living the life, right? But there's older guys like me, with family and kids and stuff, and just when you get the systems in place, like I wouldn't say like the money's really changed my life. It's more about just like the time I can spend with my family, and when I have the right people in place and additional employees to kind of do the stuff I was doing, that's where it's really changed. Like, and we're also growing at the same time. So that's like, trying to take me out in some ways of the business where basically I'm getting my time back. And that's right now I have two small children. I mean, that's huge. So
That's awesome. That makes me happy to hear. And yeah, I even just double down on that point. It's like you said, it's like you end up buying more time back. So technically, in terms of hours, you're working less, but yet you're growing more, right? And it's like that's a tough transition to make when you're like stuck in the drop shipping pump and dumps like you were and like I was when I was starting out too, because it's a completely different skill set with different systems, et cetera, to do that and do it well. But when you crack it, I would probably say it's like I don't know if I'd say it's the most important thing, but it's definitely up there with one of the most important things is learning how to hire, having the systems in place, et cetera. Because when you buy that time back, not only do you scale a lot better because you have everyone who's better at that specific job than you anyways doing it, you have less stress, it's more consistent, but you end up growing more because of it. It's kind of like, you work less, you make more, but like that's consistently how it is if you have the right systems and skill set to do it. And so you're already just starting with it and you can already see the results of it, but I'm excited to see over next year as well. As you continue to double down there, revenue grows, you have more cash flow to reinvest even further into better people and building out those systems, how much further that actually takes you.
yeah, for sure. We are excited for 2026. Just, again, it was like this was the first time I've done a full year of like one brand, right?
Yeah.
And to put that into, I've been doing it for quite a bit. Like it's kind of crazy, but I see all these young guys that they're doing I mean, they're killing it. And but they're, some of them have super hyper focus, and that's kind of what I found strong thing about you and just your YouTube videos, right? Like I'm like, okay, this guy, he gets it, right? He's like, it's such a it's hard to there's a lot of noise out there, and I appreciate that you're not, like I said, the Lambo course whatever guy, because those aren't the true ecom guys in my opinion. And 2026, I'm looking forward to, again, tripling down on just the one brand and seeing how that goes. So we're pretty excited.
100%. No, I appreciate it too. Yeah, because what people don't get, which you're starting to get now too, which is, I love. That's my favorite thing because yeah, you just end up making more money when you think through that way and build for the long term and sticking to one thing. Like the compounding results you get is insane. Like the reason we're doing like last 30 days we did about 3.5, 3.6 million. Reason we're able to do that is because we have starting from March next year, like 4.5, 5 years of consistent compounding, moat, brand building, et cetera, into one specific thing. If I jumped ship and went back to square one, I would never see the results of that compounding growth. So that's the first thing that in itself brings a ton of consistency and growth, which you're starting to see with this brand after now being about a year old. But then two, the real money is in the exit, right? Like, yes, you make a lot of money along the way up here, but you're never going to get an exit of any sizable amount if your brand's 6 months old or a year old, and then you just move to the next thing, right? When you can show 2, 3 years of consistent growth, and that growth doesn't even have to be anything crazy. It could be 20% ish a year. If you're able to do that with good margins and show that, you actually get to a position where you can actually sell for a sizable amount, um, versus only doing e-commerce for the cash flow. When realistically, if you use that cash flow properly, you end up making more money and you have the potential for an exit. So it's like, to me, when I was sitting there thinking about it, figuring out after I was doing the whole pump and dump thing, I was like, it just doesn't make any sense to do it a different way. Versus like when I was scaling and like sales were down a year, 2 years into this brand, people were like, oh, change, go next. And I was like, I just don't want to. Like, I just hate product research. I just don't like anything about launching a store product research. I just do not enjoy it. So I was like, no, thank you, not for me. And then obviously ended up learning along the way. But the fact that you're making that transition, as lots of people do eventually, because they get sick and tired of like you were after years of doing that, is amazing. And obviously even better that you're seeing the results and scale because of it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever want to do like a open up a Shopify new store. It's like I want to do this one, and then yeah, like you said, try to maybe exit it, and then we can worry about that. But yeah, it's been I think that is the problem for most people. Like, you have to learn the skill set first, right? And then you can kind of just level up so easily now. Like I said, when I started joining, it was like every course was $1,500, $3,000. And now you can just like you could just do TikTok shop as like an affiliate and make good money.
Yeah.
It's like I just wish people knew the opportunity, and to like things like to join, no BS ecom is like, how could you not? Like if you're stuck, or if you're looking for a new perspective or whatever, I mean, that's how you level up. That's where your cash should be going, right? And I think I'm just really grateful I did join. And something funny, like, we had our first introductory call, and you looked at my brand, you said, this is like 27 drop shipping. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta fix that. And I think just even like that simple thing, right? And I fixed that in a way that probably even contributed, right, to like some big success of our brand and stuff. So it's just like you just have to keep leveling up, and it's really cool that things like this exist. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and I appreciate it. I got two more ones for one. What I'm curious about actually, that I haven't really asked many people. I'm curious because obviously with no BC come the way it works, like obviously you work with me, but then you also get the calls with Demos, right? So for context, people watching, he's CMO of a brand that does about 40 million a year. And obviously I would say has a not a very different, but definitely a very different skill set to me in the sense of what he's really best at on that CMO side, data tracking, creative strategy, et cetera. What are some things that you picked up from Demos and the calls from him specifically that have helped out a lot?
it just like I said, basically seeing how you guys operate and think, and just like you would never kind of put that into perspective from a YouTube video, or even like a course, just to hear like a live call and to show like what's working, what's not working. Also, just like I said, like the volume of certain things you guys do, it's like it's really mind-blowing of like, okay, well, this is why they're in these positions, right? Like this is why, I think I asked Demos, like, show me like the revenue for your brand year over year. And it is like it's the same thing we talked about, like, and you just keep adding fire to the fuel, and to just see that, I'm telling you, it's like it just helps your mind expand. And I think that alone is worth joining.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's great at what he does. I mean, you think like our systems are good. I know on the calls with Demo shows the inside because once again, people think like we're just consulting here, but like I show the inside of my brand. Demo shows the inside of his team, systems, Asana, et cetera, as well on the calls. Like it's not just like this like basic level question answering. His stats and like his Google Sheets and like it's insane. That's even like blows me away where I'm like, that's like we still gotta work towards that. Like his stuff is insane.
Yeah, that's what I told you. I was like, when I see some of these spreadsheets, I'm like, how the heck did they come
Yeah.
up with these things? Or just
Yeah.
like tracking, certain things. I'm like, my mind doesn't even go there, but it's cool to see for sure.
100%. And once again, it's a process to get. There's not you have to get there, you know, over a week. It's a process to get there. But even I'm still trying to work and talk to Demos Law on getting some of his stuff because his stuff's just insane. Um, and then last one I got for you is where do you think you'd be at the moment if you didn't end up joining the consulting?
I think I'd just be where I was, again, like I hit, so this Q4, right? I hit 100K day, and that's been on my goal list for a while. And I never got it. Like, and I know I have the skill set in a way to do it because I've proven myself year over year. Like I can scale to 500K or 300K, whatever, right? And I think I would just be in the same kind of position. Like I would have a good Q4, probably like maybe 600K revenue or whatever, and then it'd be the next year. But I think just joining, that's kind of where I've seen that this is my best year ever, my best Q4 ever. I hit 100K day, so I think just that's kind of that level of joining is where I go. If I didn't join, I'd still be back to where I was year over year. Like I never really had like these huge increases like this before. It just stayed flatlined of this that kind of revenue. So
Yeah, sweet. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm super happy for you. Curious to see where we continue to take this thing. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. We'll call it there. Thank you very much, sir. It's fun time hopping on and doing this.
yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Like I said, you guys are it's incredible. Like I said, today's your birthday. You're 24. I'm 35, and I'm like, man, I feel so old. Like you guys are crushing it, and it's awesome to see. So
Yeah, I mean, I just started early. That's really the only difference, right? In terms of time wise, we started very young, but it's good to see because once again, I think the people, especially like you said in the e-commerce space, especially online, it's all just young guys. But there is a lot of guys, 20s, 30s, 40s in this space who are trying to learn as well, who just aren't as prevalent online because of that. And so it's cool to see that you hop on and do this. 'Cause I'm sure a lot of people will relate.
well, yeah, I mean, I didn't get my first laptop till I was in college at like 22, like it's different times and uh whatever. It is what it is, but I talked to Phil, your Amazon guy. I think he's like 2024 or something too, or
Yeah.
something like that. He's in a bathrobe in Thailand. It's like, when I was 24, I was broke and there's nothing on the internet.
Yeah,
So
no, different times. But it's good. You're taking advantage of it. That's what matters.
yeah, it's cool. Actually, I just before we leave, I don't want to just back to the Phil thing. So he was charging like I think it was 8K um, onboarding fee plus the fees would be like whatever for Amazon up to 12K max if you get whatever reach and